everyone and welcome. This vlog is going to be reading some of the nominees from the Goodreads Choice Awards. So I went through the list and I've actually only read one book on the list, which was Rebel Witch. And there were a ton on the list that I have on my TBR. So I wanted to go ahead and use that as inspiration to finally read those and get through them. So I just made a list of all of them and I'm just going to kind of mood read through a few of them. And I'm really excited for this because there were some on there that I have been really wanting to get to, and this will be the push that I'm finally needing, I hope. So I went ahead and started out with Onyx Storm by Rebecca Yarros. And this is the third book in the Empyrean series, and the first book in the series is Fourth Wing. And if you don't know what Fourth Wing is, we are following Violet Sorrengail on her journey through this deadly cutthroat war college where they are learning to hopefully bond with dragons and then fight in the war with the dragons. As far as the other books in the series go, I really did like both of the first two. I liked the first one better than the second, but I enjoyed both of them. So I went into this one with high expectations because I'd heard mixed reviews on both the second and the third book, and I did like the second one, so I assumed that I would also like the third one. But unfortunately, I'm not loving it. I felt like both of the other two books had me engaged pretty early on, and this one just has not done that. I'm roughly 20% in, and honestly, this is a long book. There is like 600 pages left in this book, so there's still time for it to get exciting. But as of right now, I'm just kind of bored. I'm not disliking it. I'm just not liking it as much as the other two. Like, I feel my favorite aspects of this story are the actual things that go on at the academy, and then this found family friend group we have. And as far as the academy goes, I feel like we're not seeing that really at all in this book so far. And I felt like we did get less of it in the second book, and that was part of why I didn't like it as much as the first. And then it seems like we're going to be going off on this quest, and so I'm just concerned we're going to be moving away from all of the aspects of the story that I really enjoy. It does seem more like maybe we're going to get more of the romance in this one, so if you like that, then that's great, but as far as I'm concerned, I don't love the romance in this one. I've never loved it. I like the characters separately, but together I just don't really feel a connection between them, an emotional connection. It's not that I dislike them. I don't hate reading when they're on the page. I'm not wishing that I didn't have to read about them. I just kind of don't care about them too much. They're just kind of okay to me. So I'm not thrilled about that because I was hoping, like in the first book when I wasn't really loving them, I kind of thought, oh, by the time we get to the point where we're seeing them more, I probably will like them. And I'm just still kind of in that same spot where they're just kind of fine. We have had a couple of conflicts that I feel like could have been more interesting if they weren't just so easily resolved. Like, I know the book has only started, so I wasn't expecting anything to get too crazy, but it just kind of felt like the conflict was used to just show how super powerful some of our characters are and how easily they could handle it, and that just wasn't really interesting to me. There are a few things to me that aren't feeling super well explained. Like, I'm just kind of feeling like maybe there's some more detail that I would like to know. There's a lot of characters in this book that, like, there's a lot of side characters in general, and a lot of them that are like found family. I remember all of them well. I really love the side characters in that aspect, but then there's some that are like, you know, the dukes and the duchesses and the generals, and I'm just like, I don't remember who these people are and what they did in the last story for a lot of them. So I'm kind of trying to remember. I'm having some trouble with that. Like, they're referenced in a way that it seems like they were definitely mentioned in the previous books, but I just don't remember them, and some of them I'm getting them confused. But that could just be a me problem. The beginning has felt somewhat similar to the beginning of book 2, but like I said, I'm early on, so hopefully things can still improve. I'm really hoping they improve because I still have like over 600 pages left of this book, and I don't want this to put me into a reading slump. I'm kind of worried about it because I definitely feel like I want to continue on in this series. I really liked it before this, and so regardless of whether or not I love this book, I want to continue on. I've heard this one has a terrible cliffhanger, so hopefully it won't be too long until we get the next book. But from what I've heard, there's no idea as to when the next book's going to be out, so be warned of that. So I'm predicting a 3.5 star for this one, which is a little disappointing because the first book I did put at, I think, 4.75, and the second book I put at 4.5. Looking back now, I probably would lower them a bit, but I still really liked them, and I definitely would have expected to rate this one higher than a 3.5. But I am early on. Still, like I said, I've got 600 pages left to go, And so I'm going to remain hopeful, and hopefully the next time I update you, I will have better news. Okay, so I'm about 70% of the way in now. I decided not to do an earlier update just because I didn't really have a whole lot more to say. You can already tell I'm going to struggle giving this book a final rating because I am enjoying being back in this series and seeing our characters again, but this book just isn't working as well for me as the other two did. Like, I'm happy to be back in the world seeing the characters, but I feel like I'm not seeing the characters that I want to see as much. We're seeing a lot more of some newer characters, which I was fine with. I thought, oh, maybe I'll get to like them too, and then we'll have even more characters to like. That would be great. But that just didn't happen for me. And it feels like it was supposed to. Like, I was supposed to get attached to these new characters, and I just didn't. So that just really didn't work out for me. But it definitely has picked up since I last updated, because for the first probably 30 to 35% of this book, I just was not feeling it. I wasn't having a good time. I was kind of bored. But once they left for the quest, that was when I really got interested, which kind of surprised me because I was worried about the quest. I wasn't sure if I was going to like it, but I really did. That has been my favorite part of this book so far. We got some good world building out of it. We got to see a decent amount outside of Basquiat, which is something I had been wanting. I wanted to know what life was like outside of Basquiat, and we got to see some different areas, how things work there, what the people are like there, and I really did enjoy that part. We did get some plot reveals out of this quest that there's at least one that I'm hoping we get to see more of, because it kind of happened and then we just kind of brushed past it because there was more important things happening, but I do hope that we're going to get more about that. But the problem is, I was having a good time, I was enjoying this quest, and I was excited to see what would happen. And then we got to the end of the quest, or at least what seems like it's going to be the end, and it was just kind of like, is that it? It just felt like we really got nothing super important out of it. And then the things that did happen kind of felt like they were just done to have something happen on this quest, and I just kind of wish we had gotten some kind of progress for our main plot. But overall, I did really enjoy getting some more world building and getting to kind of see more of what is outside of the college. I do feel like the modern language is also starting to bother me a little bit more with each book. Like, for the most part, I don't even notice it and it doesn't bother me, but then they will just say something that just feels out of place, and it bothers me a little bit more every time. Like, for some reason, and I know this is kind of stupid and kind of probably annoying to pick at, but for some reason, every time they say same, like when they're agreeing with someone, instead of just like saying I agree, it just like bothers me. It just feels so out of place for this book for some reason. Like, I actually noticed at one point when Xaden said agreed instead of same, and I was like, why doesn't he always say that? Out of all the characters in this book, I feel like he would not talk like that. He would not just be saying same all the time. I don't know why, but that really bothered me, and that's probably stupid, but it really bothered me. I also think I might be wrong about what I said earlier about getting more of the romance in this book. I'm not sure if that's going to be the case now. So I feel like actually that might be my issue with this romance. I had thought at first that I just wasn't connecting with them, but then I realized I have started to feel like I like this couple a few times, and then we kind of backtrack. Like, there's always something keeping them apart, and I feel like I don't get to see enough of them together. So I actually would like to see more of them together. But overall, I just kind of feel like I've read 500 pages of this book and we haven't made a whole lot of progress on our main plot. And it's just kind of frustrating. I just kind of want to see, at least feel like something we got out of that. But I did enjoy the quest a lot, and I'm hoping I'm going to enjoy the last 30% of this book I have to read. So I'm going to go finish this book up, and then I will go ahead and give my final thoughts. Okay, I finished Onyx Storm. And unfortunately, this one was just a bit disappointing for me. It was definitely my least favorite in the series. I'm just really conflicted on it because I really love this series, but the first half of this book I just really did not enjoy, but I really did enjoy the second half, so I'm trying to kind of find the middle ground here. Like, in the first half of this book, it was just too long. This book is very long. There was definitely some things that could have been cut from the beginning, I felt. It felt like it was going really slow, like we were just kind of waiting around to go on this quest that happened later on, and it just wasn't interesting to me at all. But I did really like the world building that happened during the quest and the quest itself, and I really liked the second half of this book as a whole. Things definitely really picked up, and it felt like our plot finally moved along and went somewhere and things got really exciting, so that's where I'm kind of conflicted. But as far as the romance goes in this one, once again, I felt like I was starting to like them and warm up to them, and then we backtracked. So I just kind of feel like I'm never going to get attached to them. But if you already like them, you probably would like this kind of back and forth thing they have going on, but it's just not working for me. And the cliffhanger is bad. It leaves so many questions unanswered, and it's kind of frustrating, but at the same time, it definitely worked. Like, I'm intrigued, and I will definitely be wanting to pick up the next book. And I think overall for this series, I'm going with a 4-star as of right now. That's kind of like my ratings for the other two books were like 4.5. This one was like a 3.5, 3.75. So we'll just give it a 4 overall. And from what I see online, there's going to be 5 books total. So I'm hoping that we get more going on in this next one and that it's not just going to all be rushed in the final book, but I guess we'll just have to wait and see. I'm excited to continue. I'm going to keep continuing on in this series, even though this one wasn't my favorite. I didn't hate it either. It wasn't like bad. It just was disappointing to me more than anything, and it could have just been shorter, I felt. But moving on, the next book in this vlog is going to be Shield of Sparrows by Devney Perry, and I've just barely started this one. I'm like 25 pages in. But honestly, I'm nervous for this one because I have read some of Devney Perry's books before. I read the first 2 books in the Eden series. The first book is Indigo Ridge. I don't love Indigo Ridge. I did not like the romance in that much at all. And it just wasn't my favorite book. I was pretty disappointed in that one. And then the second book I really did like. So I don't know. It could go either way. So I'm kind of nervous, but I'm excited to keep reading. So far, I'm really intrigued to see more and learn more about these monsters that we have in this world. I think that's really interesting. So yeah, I'm going to keep reading, and I will be back with an update. Okay, so I'm about 30% of the way in now, and I'm actually really loving this so far. I was nervous for this one and honestly had pretty low expectations just because I've had mixed opinions on Devney Perry's books in the past, but those were contemporary romance, and I am not typically a big contemporary romance person, so I am hopeful that I will just have better luck with her fantasy books. But I have loved the monsters in this world and getting to learn more about them, and I'm hoping that we are going to see a lot more of them because I love monsters in my books. I like the main character Odessa, but I am concerned that her character growth may end up just feeling a little bit rushed, because she does have to change and adapt to the situation she's been put in, and I understand that, but I'm just hoping it'll be kind of more spread out throughout the book. But I have enjoyed watching her become more confident and independent, and not just kind of wanting to blend into the background all the time. Seems like there may be an interesting magic system going on here, but we haven't learned a whole lot about it, so I am hoping that we're going to see a lot more of that because I am definitely intrigued by that. We've gotten some good world building so far. We've learned about their history and how it still affects them today, how it helped create the treaties, and I've found all of that really interesting as well. The pacing has been good. Things got off to a start pretty quickly, and then they've just kind of continued to be exciting throughout the book, so that's been fun. This one does feel pretty unpredictable to me. Like, I definitely have some guesses as to what could end up happening, but I really have no idea how we're going to get there. But I am very excited to find out, so I am going to keep reading, and I will be back with an update. So I'm about 65% of the way in now, and I am having so much fun with this one. There really hasn't been a dull moment so far because these monsters add great tension because you never know when they're going to show up and cause trouble on top of everything else we already have going on here. As far as our characters go, I really like the main character Odessa. I've liked watching her journey and seeing her growth, and I don't think her growth ended up feeling rushed like I was worried that it may. As far as other characters go, there are a few that I really like. I like the Guardian, I liked Tilia, and I like Xavier. At first, I was just kind of bored with him. There wasn't much going on, but with some new developments with him, I'm really interested to see more of him, regardless of what he ends up being in the story. Because as far as the romance goes, I'm really not sure what's going to happen. I have some predictions, but I really am unsure, and I'm really excited to see what's going to end up happening there. And for the overall story, I have some predictions as well, but even if I'm right, I would be really interested in seeing how we're going to get there and how the story is all going to come together. But I am going to keep reading, and I will come back and update after I finish this one. Alright, so I have finished Shield of Sparrows, and I'm actually going to end up giving this one 4.75 stars. I really loved this way more than I expected to, but it just was not quite 5 stars. But as for some of the things that I did love about this, I think my favorite part of this may have been the monsters, just because they do add really great tension. Like, you just never know when they're going to come along and cause problems. And I also just feel like I haven't read a ton of romantasy books with monsters, and I would love to read more. I also really liked our main character, Odessa, and seeing her journey and her growth. And I actually felt like her growth felt a little bit more realistic than I expected it to. Like, she didn't just wake up overnight and was suddenly like the best ever at everything. It felt more gradual, and I was really glad to see that. But one thing I will say about Odessa is she asks a lot of questions. And I know that's like her thing, and at first it didn't really bother me, but eventually it got a bit annoying because it is a lot, and it kind of sometimes feel like it's just done in order to give the reader information in an easy way. But it wasn't enough to like ruin the book for me or anything, but it is definitely part of the reason why this wasn't quite a 5-star. There's a lot of other characters I liked in this that I'm hoping we're going to get to see more of and get to know better, like the Guardian and Xavier and Tilia. There's a lot of really good characters in this that I just didn't feel like maybe we got enough time with, and I'm hoping to see them more in the future. The romance doesn't really come along in this one until towards the end. What we did get was really good. It was a good slow burn, it was great yearning, and I really did like our couple, and I'm excited to see more of them. I'm also interested to hopefully see more of this magic system. It seems like there could be a cool magic system in this book, but it just seems like we haven't really seen enough of it. We haven't seen the full extent of it, so I'm hoping to get more of that too. I enjoyed the world building in this. I liked learning about their history and how it caused these treaties to be formed, as well as how it just affects their day-to-day life and how they go about things. I thought the pacing in this was really good. There really wasn't a boring moment to me throughout the story. I think all of my predictions were wrong so far, at least, and there were some really interesting turns in this story that I did not see coming, so that was a lot of fun. I believe the next book comes out in April, so I am very excited about that. I will definitely be reading that when it comes out. But the next book I'm going to be reading is The Thrashers by Julie Soto. And this one is going to be a YA thriller, which I am really excited for because I love thrillers, but I have been having a hard time finding ones that I've really liked recently, so I'm hoping that this one will be good for me. And I am enjoying it so far, but it does kind of read on the younger side of YA. It is, a popular clique of high school students. But anyway, to tell you a little bit about what this book is about, we are following Jody, who is a part of the popular clique at her high school called the Thrashers. And on the night of their junior prom, one of the girls who was trying to be a part of this clique ended up taking her own life, and now the Thrashers are kind of being pulled into the police investigation. Like I said, it does read a bit younger, but I am still liking it. It's not like badly written or anything, I don't think. I think it's something I would have loved when I was in high school, but it does feel a little bit young to me. I do have some predictions, but nothing super solid yet. I'm only 25% of the way in, somewhere around there. But there definitely is a good tension throughout that holds your attention and keeps you invested in the story. And I am definitely intrigued to find out what happened. So I'm going to keep reading, and I will be back with an update. Alright, so I'm about 70% of the way in now, and some very strange, mysterious things are going on. This is definitely very entertaining, and the story has me hooked. I'm definitely excited to find out what's going to happen next. I have a million different theories, and I'm unsure of which way we're going to go, but I am very excited to keep reading. And as far as our characters go, I'm really unsure of all of them. Like, I really don't know who we can trust, if anyone. But yeah, there's not really a whole lot I can say, I feel like, when it comes to thrillers, because most of my thoughts while I'm reading thrillers are predictions for what's going to happen, and I can't share those without spoiling anything. But I am definitely having a good time with this one, and it's one of those books that I feel like I'm just going to breeze through now that I've gotten into it, because I have to find out what happens next. So I'm going to go finish this one up, and then I will be back with a final update. Alright, so I'm ready to give my final thoughts on the Thrashers. I think I'm going to go ahead and give this one 4 stars. I definitely enjoyed this, but I do feel like I would have really loved it when I was younger in high school or right out of high school, just because we're talking a lot about cliques, popularity, bullying, topics like that. But I did definitely still find it entertaining and enjoyable for an older audience as well. There was great tension throughout that had me wanting to keep reading and trying to guess what was going to happen next. I felt really unsure of all of the characters, like even the main character. I just had no idea who could be trusted, if anyone. The mystery was good, but it did feel a little bit predictable. Like, I just wasn't super surprised by where things ended up, but I did find it interesting how we got there. The ending definitely felt a bit rushed to me. Like, everything was just revealed very quickly at the end, and then some things just ended up feeling unresolved still. And I think it's a standalone, which is kind of unfortunate because I would have liked to see more of what ended up happening after everything kind of unraveled. And I think there was still more of a story to tell here, but I had a good time with it regardless. But next up, I'm going to be reading Our Infinite Fates by Laura Stevens. And in this one, we're following our main character who has lived through 100 lifetimes. And in every one of them, she is reincarnated with this other soul who she's connected to. And basically, they find her, hunt her down, and before her 18th birthday every year, basically either they get rid of her or she has to get rid of them. But either way, they're both gone once one of them is gone. But in this lifetime, she wants to live a little bit longer because her younger sister is sick and needs a transplant from her, and she wants to live long enough to help her sister out. So I've only gotten like 25 pages into this one, but so far we are just kind of looking for this other person because she never knows who it's going to be until she just kind of feels it, and trying to avoid them. And I am intrigued so far, but in other people's reviews, I've heard them talk about how they feel like there's not enough time spent in each lifetime. We kind of just rush to the end and then move on to the next one. And I can already kind of see that maybe being a problem, and I've just started this book because it just kind of feels a bit rushed. Like, we are just meeting her in a lifetime and then rushing to the end, because it seems like we're just kind of trying maybe to rush to the why of all of this is going on. That's really the big question, is why are these two linked together and why do they have to do this to each other in every lifetime? But I do find it to be an interesting premise, and I'm still excited to see where it's going to go regardless. I don't necessarily see it being a 5-star or anything, but I'm excited to find out what's going to happen. So I'm going to keep reading, and I will be back with an update. Alright, so I'm about 60% of the way through now. I don't think I'm going to do a ton of updates just because I really pretty much felt the same way throughout this entire book so far. I'm guessing this is going to be a 3.5 star because I'm having a good time with it. I feel like it's better than just like the average book, but I'm not loving it. It's not something I think I'm going to think about or talk about a whole lot. It is reminding me a bit of a book that I read a while back. I think it's called Meet Me on the Bridge, and that makes me a bit nervous because I didn't love that book. That one was like 2.5 stars for me, I think. And what I find to be similar between those books is in Our Infinite Fates, we have these multiple lifetimes, and then in Meet Me on the Bridge, we had time travel. And what I didn't like about the time travel is that our character was supposed to be like going back in time and trying to prevent something from happening. So like every chapter for a good chunk of the book was just her going back in time and making like one slight change, and then everything else in the chapter was pretty similar to what you had just read before. So it just got really repetitive and really boring to me. And I'm kind of feeling like these multiple lifetimes are having a similar feeling. Like, we're seeing a new lifetime, seeing new characters, even though they're the same characters. But it's just kind of like we're seeing them at the very end. We're not seeing anything other than just how it ends for them. And maybe we get like one new bit of information that's important. And it's better than the time travel thing just because at least we do get some new characters. We usually get like a brief overview of the lifetime. There have been maybe 2 or 3 of the lifetimes that are more memorable and more interesting. And I would have liked to either maybe just focused on those few and seen even more of those, or, you know, maybe just added in some more for the other ones, just because this book isn't super long. It's like under 350 pages, and it just doesn't feel super well fleshed out as far as these other lifetimes go. It feels like in showing these lifetimes, I can see that the author, it seems, is trying to like slowly feed us this information on why and how this happened, and kind of trying to also show the character changes throughout time. But the problem is, without ever really seeing the characters enough before they just are gone, you don't really get to see the change. We're just kind of told, oh, this character Arden used to be like this and now he's like this. And it's like, well, I would like to see that rather than just kind of being told that. And that's also kind of caused me to not really get super attached to the characters. I like our main character more. Couldn't tell you her name right now though, just because we do obviously see more of her. But it's hard to get to attached to characters when you're just kind of constantly seeing the end of their life over and over again and never really seeing anything else of them. And I'm just hoping this like present day point of view we're having doesn't end up feeling the same but more drawn out, because where we're at right now, we're at the last like few weeks of their life before it's gonna have to all end, and it's like I'm hoping that we're going to get more out of this than just kind of this same scenario, but just more drawn out. For me personally, I just would like a story like this to be more focused on the lifetimes, and I feel like this one is more focused on the how of this all happened, why this all happened, and if you are more interested in that, you'd probably love this. But for me, I just would like to see more of the lifetimes, I think. But the few that we do get that do feel more fleshed out are really good, and I am having a really good time with those ones. It definitely is intriguing, and I am definitely interested to find out what's going on, why this happened, how this is happening. The writing is really beautiful. I definitely am interested in reading more from this author. I believe this is the same author that wrote Silvercloak, which I want to read. And it has definitely been a quick read. Like, it's not, like I said, it's feels kind of similar throughout, so it's a pretty easy, quick read. I do have some predictions going on. I've been thinking about what may have happened, what may end up happening, so I mean, that is a sign that I am liking it to me. But I'm gonna go ahead. I'm probably gonna finish this book up, and then I will be back to give my final thoughts. Okay, I finished Our Infinite Fates. I'm gonna go ahead and give this one 3.5 stars. I did enjoy this, but it did feel pretty rushed all throughout. Like the ending, I thought it was a really beautiful idea, and I liked it, but it just wrapped up too quickly. I just wanted more from it. Overall, I think this book probably could have just been longer. But luckily, I did end up liking our characters through the present day POV because I feel like we got to know them a little bit better in that POV, and I just ended up connecting with them a little bit more. I also liked being able to read some poetry in this book that was supposed to be like written by one of the characters about the situation. I really liked that. I thought it was really sweet. And there were a few lifetimes that were more detailed, and I liked those a lot. So I kind of wish we had either just not talked about the other lifetimes and gone into even more detail on those, or just gone into more detail on all of them, because there were just some points where things just kind of felt really underwhelming. But the writing in this was beautiful, and there were some really beautiful quotes. Like one of the ones I loved that I wrote down is, "And so, in the absence of any abiding religious convictions, this was the one blind faith I had, that love was a physical force and it was never wasted. Once it was called out into the universe, it would echo back to us forever." I think that's really beautiful, and there was a lot of really beautiful quotes in this. So I can definitely see why people love this. I definitely want to read more by this author. I'm pretty sure this author also wrote Silvercloak, which I'm really wanting to read as well. But I just think the writing was really beautiful. It was a beautiful idea. It just was a little bit rushed. That is going to be it for this vlog. So I hope you all enjoyed, and if you did, please leave a like and subscribe. I would really appreciate it. And I hope to see you all in the next one.